Satanismus ist kein Witz, Satanismus ist keine Inszenierung, Satanismus führt zu Mord.
Ich kann versuchen auszudrücken, dass es mir wahnsinnig leid tut. Ich kann es leider nicht rückgängig machen. Und das ist eigentlich auch das Schwierige.
Jet Black Vampire seeks Princess of Darkness who despises everything and everyone and has bidden farewell to life. This eerie personal ad, placed in Metal Hammer magazine, wasn't just someone looking for love, it was an invitation to descend into the abyss. It was August 2000, and 23-year-old Daniel Ruda, once part of the German skinhead scene, was searching for a partner who shared his fascination with the morbid. Daniel's earlier years were spent in the radical undercurrents of the National Democratic Party of Germany, a far-right political party associated with white nationalist movements. However, disillusionment with their ideologies led him down a darker path. He drifted away from nationalism and into the world of goth and death metal, where the allure of Satanism would capture his imagination. This ad was a reflection of his new, sinister identity. While Daniel was exploring his dark side, Manuela Bartel was also undergoing her own transformation. As a teenager, she started to rebel, experimenting with punk-style clothing and bold hairstyles. Manuela claimed that, during these years, the devil himself visited her, a moment that fueled her growing fascination with the occult. Seeking new experiences, she ran away to the UK, where she was introduced to the goth scene. In the underground clubs of London, she claimed to have encountered something that would forever alter her worldview: real vampires. In the shadowy world of London's goth clubs, Manuela's fascination with this scene deepened. She claimed to have attended bite parties, exclusive gatherings where willing participants acted as blood donors. The rules were simple but grim. Avoid hitting arteries, as even a small mistake could prove fatal. As her obsession grew, Manuela began adopting extreme behaviors, sleeping on graves and avoiding sunlight in an effort to embrace a vampire-like existence. By 1998, she returned to Germany, but her descent into darkness was far from over. It was there, she said, that she made the ultimate pact, giving her soul to Satan. Back in Germany, Manuela fully embraced a new persona. She adopted the name Allegra, ironically meaning cheerful or joyful, despite her increasingly dark lifestyle. Manuela claimed to be a dominatrix and a BDSM model, relishing the attention and the shock value she brought to others. Her transformation was not just in name. She had 2 teeth removed and replaced with fang implants, further blurring the line between fantasy and reality. The ideology of Satanism, pride, individualism, and nonconformity were values that fit perfectly with her rebellious nature. Immersed in the death metal scene, Manuela came across Daniel's personal ad in Metal Hammer. The description seemed to mirror her own life, so without hesitation she answered it. When Manuela and Daniel finally met, their connection was immediate, bound by a shared obsession with black magic. Together, they wanted to honor Satan in the ultimate way by making their marriage a tribute to him. Daniel claimed he had received a vision of the numbers 6667. He interpreted this as a sign. They were to marry on June 6, 2001, 6/6, and then, after carrying out a killing, they would each end their own lives on July 6th, 6/7. I got the order to sacrifice a human for Satan, Daniel later said. Their lives together became an expression of their devotion to the darkness. Manuela even brought a coffin into their home, where she slept each night. It was more than just a prop, it was where they consummated their marriage, solidifying their bond in what they saw as the most fitting tribute to their twisted union. As their plan for a sacrifice took shape, Daniel continued working his day job at an auto parts store. That's where he befriended a coworker named Frank Hackert. Frank was known for being friendly and witty, the type of person who liked to see the good in others. It was likely this open-mindedness that led him to befriend Daniel and Manuela, despite their unusual appearance and behavior. But to Manuela, Frank's light-hearted nature made him the perfect sacrifice. She described him as being funny like a court jester, perfect for their king, Satan. With Frank as their target, the couple began meticulously planning their next steps. They even wrote a list of 15 more people they intended to sacrifice, believing it was just the beginning of their murderous mission. For Daniel and Manuela, their ultimate goal wasn't just to kill. They believed that by drinking their victims' blood and then ending their own lives, they could descend to hell and serve Satan, much like others might aspire to ascend to heaven. To prepare for the ritual, Daniel purchased the tools they would need, an axe, an assortment of knives, and hammers. Initially, the couple had planned for 3 victims, but while 2 of their intended targets declined the invitation to what they called a party, Frank Hackert, ever the trusting friend, accepted. Frank likely had no idea what awaited him when he arrived at the Ruda's apartment. The place was decorated like a scene from a horror movie, fake cobwebs, skulls, and the coffin where Manuela slept, complete with an upside-down cross. They even had illegal World War II SS symbols. In Germany, the use of symbols from the Third Reich are criminal offenses. But the biggest shock would come when Frank was struck with a hammer. What followed was nothing short of horrific. After Daniel used the hammer, Manuela stabbed Frank 66 times with a knife. A pentagram was carved into his chest so that it was clear he was a sacrifice to the devil. He also sustained additional wounds from a machete and a scalpel. Some of his blood was gathered in bowls for the ritual, the one that Daniel and Manuela thought would transform them into Satan's disciples. They even used Frank's blood to write "Where Satan Lives" on the window. The murder had taken place on July 6th, exactly as planned. But instead of following through with their own deaths, the couple made a quick getaway. Manuela had sent a cryptic letter to her mother stating, quote, "I am not of this world," and explaining that she needed to, quote, "liberate her soul from the mortal flesh." Alarmed by the message, Manuela's mother feared her daughter was planning something drastic and alerted the police, requesting a welfare check. When authorities arrived at the Ruda's apartment, they found Frank Hackert's body so brutally disfigured that a DNA test was required to confirm his identity. Meanwhile, Dania and Manuela hit the road. One of their destinations was Jena, a town infamous for the 1993 case of Satan's Children. This was where 3 teenage members of the black metal band Absurd had been convicted of killing their classmate Sandro Bayer in a ritualistic murder. The Rudas intended to visit and desecrate Bayer's grave, seeing it as part of their satanic mission. Disturbingly, Sandro Bayer's mother was also on the couple's list of 15 future victims. Authorities, realizing the danger, placed all 15 targets into protective custody until the killers were found. The car they escaped in was hard to miss. It was decorated with a pentagram and had the names of black metal songs scrawled on it, many of them referring to crematoriums or graves. As news of the grisly murder spread, a manhunt was launched to track them down, with authorities offering a reward for information leading to their capture. After a week on the run, the couple's high-profile vehicle, with its cryptic markings, led to their arrest. Their murderous spree was cut short before they could fulfill their dark ambitions. Both Daniel and Manuela were arrested for the murder of Frank Hackert, and their trial began in January 2002. Manuela, continuing her eerie persona, requested that the courtroom windows be blacked out because, as she claimed, quote, "I live at night," and the sunlight was hurting her. Though the windows stayed uncovered, she was permitted to wear sunglasses during the trial. From the start, the couple openly admitted to the crime, but insisted they were merely following orders from Satan himself. They described being commanded with phrases like kill, sacrifice, bring souls, and claimed they were instructed specifically to stab Frank in the heart as part of the ritual. Throughout the proceedings, Daniel and Manuela disrupted the courtroom with disturbing behavior, making faces, flashing satanic hand signs, and even performing obscene gestures. They frequently held hands and kissed as they were escorted in and out, showing no signs of remorse. Frank Hackert's mother, devastated by the loss of her son, struggled to cope with the gruesome details revealed during the trial. Forced to take anti-anxiety medication to endure the process, she held out hope that she might see some sign of regret from the couple, but none ever came. Forensic psychiatrists testified during the trial, diagnosing both Daniel and Manuela with narcissistic personality disorder. NPD is characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance, a need for excessive admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. Those with the disorder often believe they are special or unique, and they may exploit others to achieve their own goals, as was evident in the rooters' belief that they were chosen to serve a higher, albeit sinister, power. Since neither Daniel nor Manuela denied killing Frank Hackert, they were quickly found guilty of murder. However, due to the psychiatric testimony, the court determined they acted under diminished responsibility, concluding that both were deeply disturbed individuals. In Germany, murder with diminished responsibility carries a sentence ranging from 2 to 15 years in prison. Daniel was sentenced to the maximum of 15 years, while Manuela received 13 years. Both were sent to a correctional facility, which in Germany functions more like a forensic psychiatric hospital, sometimes referred to as a hospital for the criminally insane in the United States. Along with their sentences, the court ordered Daniel and Manuela to stay away from one another. This led to their divorce shortly after the trial, despite their bond during the proceedings. In a final display of their toxic relationship, they shared one last kiss after being handed their verdicts, before being separated for good. While incarcerated, Daniel continued to draw attention with his disturbing behavior. He wrote a book titled Error Code 211, The Satan Murder of Witten, What Really Happened, a reference to Section 211 of the German Criminal Code, the statute for murder, similar to the slang of 187 to refer to homicide. In the book, Daniel recanted his original confession, claiming he had made it up to protect Manuela. He now blamed her entirely for the murder, saying he wasn't even in the same room when it happened. Throughout his time in the correctional facility, Daniel refused any form of therapy, showing no interest in rehabilitation. His unwillingness to seek treatment or take accountability for his actions played a significant role in his failed attempt to secure an early release. While incarcerated, Manuela took a different path from Daniel. She contributed to a book about young people being influenced by far-right extremist organizations. Her chapter, titled Dead End, The Passion of Darkness, marked a shift in her mindset. In it, she took responsibility for her actions and expressed remorse, stating she wanted to prevent others from falling into the same destructive path of Satanism. Manuela was disturbed by the copycat crimes inspired by her actions and by the fan mail she received from those who idolized her. She was horrified that people were treating the crime scene like a pilgrimage, and made it clear she didn't want to be seen as a satanic figurehead. She explained that helping turn people away from extremism and Satanism was the only way she could make amends for what she had done. Her therapist believed her remorse was genuine, and her willingness to engage in therapy led her to securing a supervised early release in 2006. Unlike Manuela, Daniel served his full sentence plus additional time after being held during an investigation into a murder plot. As his release date approached, he was accused of planning to have his ex-wife killed. Authorities claimed Daniel had asked a 34-year-old woman he had been corresponding with to carry out the murder. However, her testimony was inconsistent, and she repeatedly contradicted herself. The judge found her account unreliable, and there wasn't enough evidence to convict Daniel. Acquitted of the charges, he was finally released in 2017. It's easy to point fingers at the goth scene, death metal, or alternative lifestyles when crimes like this happen. Subcultures like these, with their dark aesthetics and heavy themes, often become scapegoats, blamed for inspiring violence. But the truth is, most people in these communities are perfectly normal individuals with eccentric tastes, no different than anyone who enjoys horror films or even true crime content. Do you think subcultures like goth or death metal get unfairly targeted? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Ultimately, the real issue at play in cases like Daniel and Manuela Ruda's is not the music or the culture, but a dangerous combination of extremism and mental illness. It's crucial to remember that darkness in taste does not equate to darkness in heart or mind. Let's remember that every wrinkle tells a story, and in the wrinkles of crime, we find the truth. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I'd love to hear your opinions or suggestions in the comments. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for our next video, and we'll explore another story hidden within the wrinkles in crime.